here, hope you're well. Now it's that time of the month again when we take a look back at a month's worth of MCN to see what some of the top stories or that caught my eye were during the month. So here we go, we've got 4 issues as usual. Stick around, stay tuned for the next couple of minutes and I'll show you some of the stories that caught my eye in the paper. So going all the way back 4 weeks then, seems a long time ago now, to the November the 2nd issue. Just a couple of stories to pull out here. First one is this, Carbon Dreams is what it's entitled. And this is a first look at what was then the secret new Ducati Panigale-esque bike, the Superleggera. Now this is the new carbon version. It's just an amazing bit of kit. At this point, as I say, it's spy shots, but we'll talk more about this later in later newspapers. So we'll just park that for now, bear that in mind. Okay, and then the other story from the first paper of the month is this, entitled History Maker. And we've talked about bike sports before on this feature, and this is the case that Jonathan Rea has won the World Superbike title, and he's defended his world title. He's only the second person to ever do that, or I think he's the first person to do that since Cole Fogarty. But anyway, I'm not a huge follower of the World Superbike. I have been to 1 or 2 of them before, and I didn't watch this season particularly closely, but the fact that he's won again, it's another British rider, and did you see it on the news, on the sports news? I guess you probably didn't. Absolutely incredible feat, and never makes it to the mainstream news. Such a shame that football gets all the coverage in it, but there we go. So just my little regular whinge. I do that one quite a bit if you watched this before. Okay, so that was from a month ago. The next paper, here we go. Now this one's a bit more bumper. This is the 2017 new bike special, where they've sort of gone through all the new bikes that have been released, and it's been an amazing year for new bikes this year, mainly because of the Euro 4 requirements for the 2017 models, meaning that manufacturers have had to revamp and update bikes to make them quieter, make the emissions more lean, and so on. Anyway, this bike this paper looks at 41 of those new bikes, so quite a few here to pick out. I won't be picking out 41, but let's just show you some that have caught my eye. So first of all, the bike we talked about earlier, the Superleggera. It's properly come out of undercover now, and it is now a thing. It's completely a carbon fibre bike as well, absolutely amazing. I was lucky enough to see this in the flesh at the NEC on Monday at Motorcycle Live. Amazing bike. I mean, it looks just like a Panigale, but it's entirely carbon. It's got a carbon frame, carbon wheels, carbon everything basically. The thing is, it costs 74 grand if you want one. So pretty flipping exclusive bike, I have to say. But there we go, a lovely beast. But having said that, as I say, I saw it at the NEC, and there are other bikes there that I think I would rather have. So more about that in a minute. Okay, the next bike from this batch that has been catching my eye is this. This is the BMW R9T variant, the Urban GS. Now, BMW have been coming out with all sorts of R9T variants recently. Absolutely think these look fantastic, and again, saw quite a few of these at the NEC on Monday. Amazing bikes. I've yet to ride an R9T of any flavour. Must put that right, because I think they look great. Of course, they still use the old original air-cooled boxer engine, so it'll be interesting to see how it compares in terms of go to the likes of the engine on my current GS, for example. But we'd love to have a go on one of these, and a lovely bike. So that's that. So the next bike that caught my eye, got a very clever system of tabs going this month. Here we go. All new fire starter is the headline. Of course, this is the new Honda Fireblade. We've had little looks at it before, and it just looks an amazing bike, and it's great to see Honda back in the game. They've been kind of out of it a bit of late, and this, I think, really brings them back. This, plus the Africa Twin and some of the other bikes they've been releasing, really gets them back in the game, a bit like Yamaha did over the last couple of years, so really great to see that. Then the other bikes that caught my eye in the Honda stable, of course, the new CRF 250L, which is the updated version of my bike, just some new graphics and some new plastics, nothing particularly groundbreaking, but it looks a nice little bike. Hard for the untrained eye to see the difference. And then the CRF 250 Rally, which is more of an adventure-styled version of the bike, more upright, a bit more Dakar-esque, nicer front light. I think it looks really good, and I think they could be onto a real winner there. So, again, saw that at the NEC. Looks great in the flesh. So, great to see that Honda are still developing that line of bikes. Okay, the next one, it's a bit of a surprise to me. What did I select? Ah, of course, the Triumph Scrambler returns. Now, I've been waiting for this for ages because I love Scrambler-like bikes. And Triumph have been making a Scrambler, of course, in their Bonneville range for ages now. But it's been a while since they've come up with the new Bonneville range, the new water-cooled versions. The Scrambler's been kind of conspicuous by its absence. They did come up with the Street Twin inspiration kit that made it sort of into a Scrambler, but now they've done this, which is a proper Scrambler, based on the Street Twin again, but it's actually got a new chassis, so it's a completely different bike. But it looks fantastic. I mean, it's going to be lightweight, it's going to be easy to ride, it's going to hopefully be relatively cheap. It's based on the 900cc engine, not the 1200, which is probably more appropriate for a bike that's maybe going to go off-road for lightness reasons, but we'd really love to have a go on one of those. So yeah, really looking forward to having a go on one of those at some point in the future. Next thing that caught my eye, of course, the Bonneville T100, for all the same reasons as the bike we just looked at. This has all the quality and all the build and all the loveliness of the T120, but in a cheaper, lightweight, probably more accessible frame. So really looking forward again to seeing these, or actually having a go on one. I have seen one in the flesh again. It was at the NEC and it looks great up close. In fact, it's pretty much indistinguishable to look at from the T120. So great bike, fantastic if you're a new rider, I would think, or if you just want to get into something that's a bit of sort of lazy riding, then the T100 may be the way to go. So looking forward to having a go on one of those as well. And then last but not least from this bumper issue, just something that caught my eye in Andy Coulton, who's the editor of MCN, in his little editor's write-up this week. He mentioned that Mahindra have bought the rights to BSA. Now, I wondered who was going to do anything with BSA, because the BSA is such a classic British bike from the past. It's amazing, given that the likes of Triumph and Norton and indeed Ariel are back in the game, that BSA hasn't been picked up. Well, Mahindra has now picked up. They spent, I think it was £3.4 million on the rights, so be really interesting to see what they do with that over the years. So yeah, fingers crossed, wait and see what happens there. Okay, so that was the third week's issue, and then last but not least, this is the issue that came out today. No, it isn't, I've gone the wrong way. This is the issue that came out today, and it's the title is New Look, because they've had a sort of a mid-year revamp of the paper, so that's great. They've got some new features and so on. MCN often do that this time of year. So some of the things that have caught my eye in here. First off, again, another Triumph. Triumph are just knocking out new bikes like there's no tomorrow. So this is a spy shot. This is the bike that MCN think they're likely to call the Speed Twin, which is an iconic name for Triumph, of course. And this again is based this time on the Thruxton R. So it's got the 1200cc engine. It's pinched the headlights from the old Street Triple from a few years ago, which were much missed in many cases. And it's sort of a Street Fighter type version. So it sort of kind of mixes the Street Triple with the Thruxton. That might be just an amazing mix. I don't know. So I really hope that does come to pass and we get to have a go on that, because that sounds like a great machine. So that's a spy shot of something that's well worth keeping tabs on from the Triumph stable. Yet another bike that they've come up with. And then just want to point out this is a new one of the new features in the New Look MCN, which is called MCN Escapes, and this is all about European tours. And the reason why I mention it is because it's great when you can get a pre-planned tour if you're going to go on a long bike holiday, because it just takes all the research out. You might enjoy doing that, but I personally just like riding the bike. So I've done a lot of rides from Simon Weir's books, Bikers Britain, as you may have seen. And the reason why I mention this is because I recognise the yellow helmet on the rider here. This looks very much like Simon Weir's work to me, so wouldn't surprise me if maybe there's a European book in the offing. I don't know, and this is perhaps as a preview. But I might save these just in case. But if you fancy doing some touring in Europe, then get yourself a copy of MCN, because there's some really good looking rides here all over France and Spain and elsewhere. So that's one to look out for, a new feature, welcome new feature to MCN. Okay, sadly, MCN Local stays in the paper. The reason I mention it is because this is always just a regurgitated set of features from previous issues. So it's a shame that's still there. I've always just been that, so we'll pass over that quickly. Next thing I've highlighted here is this. Not necessarily a motorcycling story, but fascinates me anyway. This guy, Eddie Braun, is a US stuntman, and he's basically emulated the failed Evel Knievel stunt of trying to leap. It's called Snake River Canyon, which I think is in Idaho in the US, and this is what Evel Knievel failed to do. He built this rocket plane stroke bike thing, Evel Knievel did, back in 1971. Tried to leap it, unfortunately parachute deployed early, and he just drifted back to the same bank he took off from, so not a great effort. However, this guy, Eddie Braun, has rebuilt this. He's put over $1 million of his own money into it, and he's not gone for something new and safe. He's actually rebuilt an exact replica of the bike that failed Evel Knievel, or the rocket I should say, that Evel Knievel failed on, which is an amazing thing. And if you look at YouTube, you can actually see this attempt. It's absolutely incredible. Pulled something like 8G, went up to 2,000 feet, 400 miles an hour in 3 seconds, He said he would never do it again, so I imagine it was quite a ride, but an amazing feat, no injuries, and managed to do it. So I love that sort of story. I love nutters, and Eddie Braun is obviously one of those. So that's worth hunting out if you're doing a bit of YouTube watching tonight. And then last but not least I should say, is just this feature entitled Riding on the Wild Side. I only mention it because it's something that's very much on my to-do list. I've yet to do this, is ride the bike up to Scotland and wild camp. Scotland's one of those places where you can pitch a tent wherever you want pretty much. As long as you leave no trace of you ever being there, then you're okay to do that. So what a great thing to do. Chuck a tent on the back of your bike and go up to the Highlands and find yourself. Normally I'm a bit of a hotel man, I don't do tents, but I must admit there's something about this that really kind of appeals. Maybe not this time of year, but it's very much on the bucket list for the bike. Okay, that's pretty much it for the review this month. Hope you've enjoyed that, and if you want to find out more about these stories, of course, go and get yourself a subscription to MCN. It's a great read, and I always read it cover to cover, so there we are. Okay, till next time, this has been the Mr. Fly. Cheerio. Hang on a minute, not quite so fast. I was just about to get into some editing and then realised I actually missed out on the papers, which was this one, the November the 16th edition. Okay, so let's have a quick look through this. There are a few things in here that I definitely want to mention. Mostly, it was this. This is the bike that I thought that for me was the bike of the show at the NEC on Monday. This is the Norton V4, and this is the one that I would rather have over the Panigale Superleggera. Shouldn't call it a Panigale, really, it's a Superleggera. Anyway, this bike is also carbon, and of course it's built by Norton, so it's British. I think it looks absolutely awesome. It's an amazing machine. The great thing about it is there's two versions of it here, by the way. The silver one is called the RR, and that's £28,000, so compare that with the 74 of the Superleggera. And the black one, the fully carbon version, that is £44,000, so it's still half the price thereabouts of the Ducati. And for me, if I could keep my 899, I'd have one of these over the Superleggera. I just think they look absolutely phenomenal. Of course they've got stonking engines, of course they've got all the electronics packages, just a lovely, lovely bike, and when you see them in the flesh, really beautifully made, so fantastic bike. So just want to show you that. That's the bike for me that is kind of my bike of the year. I guess if money was no objection, you can have any bike. I'd have that, and I probably wouldn't ride it, I'd just look at it. Fantastic. Okay, the other bike that I wanted to mention, or one of the other bikes, is this. This is the Husqvarna VIP. Can't remember what VIP means, but a great name for a bike. I mention this because I've become a bit of a Husqvarna fan of late. A couple of months ago, a friend of mine bought a Husqvarna Husky Nuda, a bit like the one that Raw Jordanian rides, and I had a quick go of it, and it was great fun. Forgot how good these super motard type bikes are. Anyway, this is the sort of revamped, renewed version of it, if you like, and it's effectively just an engine with a sort of a bench seat on the top of it. Again, saw it at the NEC, amazing thing to look at, lovely, really well made, some beautiful details like the headlights and so on, and would love to have a go on one of those. It's got the KTM engine in it, it's the single cylinder out of the, can't remember what it's out of now, I'm sure somebody will tell me. Anyway, I'm sure they sound absolutely stonking, never heard one running, but there we go. So that's the Husqvarna VIP. I just love that name, rolls off the tongue. Here's another bike that absolutely glorious. Now this is a custom made machine that was built just for the NEC show, and again of course saw it on Monday. Lovely bike in the flesh, and it's built by a custom shop called Old Empire Motorcycles, so OEM, so it's very clever the way they've done that, and built for Triumph. In fact, it's based on a Bonneville T100. But this for me is the bike that Triumph really should be making themselves, maybe instead of the Bobber, which is kind of I do like it, but it's a sort of take it or leave it thing. This thing just looks absolutely gorgeous. Why aren't Triumph making this themselves? This is a beautiful bike. Okay, so just a little bit of a rant there. And then finally this time, just to say that the paper came with a full-blown NEC show guide, which if you're going to go to the NEC is absolutely invaluable because it details absolutely everything that you can see, complete with a map that you can pull out and take with you. So if you've not been to the NEC and you're going to go next year, get yourself a copy of MCN and take the centre pages out of it so you can find your way around. Okay, that is it for this month's paper review. Hope it was of some interest. If there's anything there that's caught your eye, or I've missed anything that particularly caught your eye, do let me know in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, look forward to speaking to you soon. Till then, this has been the Mr. Fly. Cheerio.